Learning objectives. At the end of this topic, you will be able to understand the usage of manure and fertilizers in agriculture, differentiate between fertilizers and manures, discuss about irrigation and sources of irrigation, explain the methods to protect the crops from weeds, describe the methods of harvesting and storage of crops. Introduction.
What are you adding to the crops?
It's called manure. They provide essential nutrients for crops.
I've heard of fertilizers. Can you tell more about both of them?
Sure, I'll tell you about irrigation methods too. This will be helpful to you. Let me begin my chapter. Adding manure and fertilizers. The substances which are added to the soil in the form of nutrients for the healthy growth of plants are called manure and fertilizers. Soil supplies mineral nutrients to the crops. These nutrients are essential for the growth of plants. In certain areas, farmers grow crop after crop in the same field. The field is never left uncultivated or fallow. Continuous growing of crops makes the soil poorer in certain nutrients. Therefore, farmers have to add manure to the fields to replenish the soil with nutrients. This process is called manuring. Manure is an organic substance obtained from the decomposition of plant or animal wastes. Farmers dump plant and animal wastes in pits in open places and allow it to decompose. This decomposition is caused by some microorganisms. The decomposed matter is used as organic manure. Fertilizers are chemical substances which are rich in a particular nutrient. Fertilizers are produced in factories. Some examples of fertilizers are urea, ammonium sulfate, superphosphate, potash, NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. The use of fertilizers has helped farmers to get better yield of crops such as wheat, paddy, and maize. But excessive use of fertilizers has made the soil less fertile. Fertilizers have also become a source of water pollution. Therefore, in order to maintain the fertility of the soil, we have to substitute fertilizers with organic manure or leave the field uncultivated, fallow, in between two crops. The use of manure improves the soil texture as well as its water-retaining capacity. Another method of replenishing the soil with nutrients is through crop rotation. This can be done by growing different crops alternately. Earlier, farmers in northern India used to grow legumes as fodder in one season and wheat in the next season. This helped in the replenishment of the soil with nitrogen. Farmers are being encouraged to adopt this practice. We have learnt about rhizobium bacteria. These are present in the nodules of the roots of leguminous plants. They fix the atmospheric nitrogen. Let's know the difference between manure and fertilizer. Let's look at advantages of manure. The organic manure is considered better than fertilizers. This is because it enhances the water-holding capacity of the soil. It makes the soil porous, due to which exchange of gases becomes easy. It increases the number of friendly microbes. It improves the texture of the soil. Irrigation. Water is important for proper growth and development of flowers, fruits, and seeds of plants. Water is absorbed by the plant roots. Water is essential because germination of seeds does not take place under dry conditions. Nutrients dissolved in water get transported to each part of the plant. Water also protects the crop from both frost and hot air currents. To maintain the moisture of the soil for healthy crop growth, fields have to be watered regularly. The supply of water to crops at different intervals is called irrigation. The time and frequency of irrigation varies from crop to crop, soil to soil, and season to season. In summer, the frequency of watering is higher. The sources of irrigation are wells, tube wells, ponds, lakes, rivers, dams, and canals. Let's look at traditional methods of irrigation. The water available in wells, lakes, and canals is lifted up by different methods in different regions for taking it to the fields. Cattle or human labor is used in these methods. So these methods are cheaper but less efficient. The various traditional ways are 1. Moat. pulley system. 2. Chain pump. 3. Dhikli. And 4. Rahat. Lever system. Pumps are commonly used for lifting water. Diesel, biogas, electricity, and solar energy are used to run these pumps. Modern methods of irrigation help us to use water economically. Let's discuss the main methods. Sprinkler system is more useful on the uneven land where sufficient water is not available. The perpendicular pipes, having rotating nozzles on the top, are joined to the main pipeline at regular intervals. When water is allowed to flow through the main pipe under pressure with the help of a pump, it escapes from the rotating nozzles. It gets sprinkled on the crops as if it's raining. Sprinkler is very useful for sandy soil. Whereas in the drip system, the water falls drop by drop just to the position of the roots. It's the best technique for watering fruit plants, gardens, and trees. The system provides water to plants drop by drop. Water is not wasted at all. It's a boon in regions where availability of water is poor. Protection from weeds. In a field, many other undesirable plants may grow naturally along with a crop. These undesirable plants are called weeds. The removal of weeds is called weeding. Weeding is necessary since weeds compete with the crop plants for water, nutrients, space, and light. Thus, they affect the growth of the crop. Some weeds interfere even in harvesting and may be poisonous for animals and human beings. Farmers adopt many ways to remove weeds and control their growth. Tilling before sowing of crops helps in uprooting and killing of weeds, which may then dry up and get mixed with the soil. The best time for the removal of weeds is before they produce flowers and seeds. The manual removal includes physical removal of weeds by uprooting or cutting them close to the ground from time to time. This is done with the help of a khurpi. A seed drill is also used to uproot weeds. Weeds are also controlled by using certain chemicals called weedicides. These are sprayed in the fields to kill the weeds. The weedicides are diluted with water to the extent required and sprayed in the fields with a sprayer. Spraying of weedicides may affect the health of farmers, so they should use these chemicals very carefully. They should cover their nose and mouth with a piece of cloth during spraying of these chemicals. Harvesting of a crop is a very important task. The cutting of crop after it is mature is called harvesting. In harvesting, crops are pulled out or cut close to the ground. It usually takes 3 to 4 months for a cereal crop to mature. Harvesting in our country is either done manually by a sickle or by a machine called harvester. In the harvested crop, the grain seeds need to be separated from the chaff. This process is called threshing. This is carried out with the help of a machine called combine, which is in fact a combined harvester and thresher. Farmers with small holdings of land do the separation of grain and chaff by winnowing. Storage. Storage of produce is an important task. If the crop grains are to be kept for a longer time, they should be safe from moisture, insects, rats, and microorganisms. The fresh crop has more moisture. If freshly harvested grains, that is seeds, are stored without drying, they may get spoiled or attacked by organisms, losing their germination capacity. Hence, before storing them, the grains are properly dried in the sun to reduce the moisture in them. This prevents the attack by insect pests, bacteria, and fungi. Farmers store grains in jute bags or metallic bins. However, large-scale storage of grains is done in silos and granaries to protect them from pests like rats and insects. Dried neem leaves are used for storing food grains at home. For storing large quantities of grains in big godowns, specific chemical treatments are required to protect them from pests and microorganisms. Food from animals. Plants and animals also provide us with different kinds of food. Many people living in coastal areas consume fish as a major part of their diet. We have just seen that the process of crop production involves a number of steps like selection of seeds, sowing, etc. Similarly, animals reared at home or in farms have to be provided with proper food, shelter, and care. When this is done on a large scale, it's called animal husbandry. Summary. Let's summarize the topic. Manure and fertilizers are substances added to the soil for the healthy growth of plants. Crop rotation can be done by growing different crops alternately. Irrigation refers to the supply of water to crops at different intervals. Weeds are undesirable plants which grow along with crops.